Here on the country's only embarrassing home renovation show, we spend thousands of dollars every year making sure we're able to find the most atrocious amateur builders in the entire country. And this year, our staff flew all the way from St. John's, Newfoundland to Vancouver, British Columbia, and 40 cities in between. And imagine how surprised we were to find that 4 out of the 5 most pathetic renovators in the country all came from Ontario. Now, I'm not saying anything about the intelligence of people from Ontario. I'm merely saying this is Canada's worst handyman.
The nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman are in our rehabilitation centre. Here, they're turning ordinary hotel rooms into honeymoon suites with heart-shaped tubs.
I love it.
I love it.
I love my heart-shaped tub.
That's Rob. He's dangerous.
Oh, Rob!
In Dunchurch, Ontario, Rob needs to become a better handyman because his rundown bachelor pad was fine for just him, but a little over a year ago, his girlfriend Joanne moved in.
This is like living at camp all the time.
That's Dan. Handiwork makes him angry.
You're hurting my brain, Natasha.
At home in Cambridge, Ontario, Dan needs to become a better handyman for the sake of his wife, Natasha, and daughter, Rose. But the fixes this house needs are beyond Dan on several levels.
We cannot call someone in to finish the repairs for us because we don't have the money to pay for it.
That's Ajay,
Prabjot!
a small businessman who was brought to rehab by
Prabjot!
Prabjot, his long-suffering wife.
Okay. Ow!
At his rental property in Strathmore, Alberta, Ajay needs to become a better handyman for the sake of his tenants.
I will fix that for sure.
That's Charlene, a housewife who came to rehab with her twin sister, Charmaine.
What do you need glue for? Because what if the stupid screws fall out?
At home in Pickering, Ontario,
I clear the way and then I demolish.
Charlene needs to become a better handyman for the sake of her poor husband.
Whoop.
Did I tell you I didn't want to start another project? I'm sick of this.
And finally, that's Matt, a bachelor with 0 handyman skills.
What is this thing for? I don't know how to do this.
Matt was brought to us by his friend Corey. At home in Ottawa,
I put a toilet seat on, man. That's got to be worth something.
Matt needs to become a better handyman so he can accomplish bigger jobs than changing toilet seats.
Sadly, I need a whole lot of traps in my house. But everyone needs at least one trap in their house, and it's this kind of trap. It goes underneath the drain. You recognize it. And its job is to trap a little bit of water right here. That puddle of water prevents the stink from the sewer from rising back up into your home. The next challenge for Canada's worst handyman is to install a trap underneath their... Ah! Excuse me. Install a trap underneath their heart-shaped tub. Ah, my thumb!
Everybody ready to learn today?
Yes, sir.
That's Jeff Woodmansey, one of our rehab center experts, here to explain how to hook up tub drainage pipes. The heart-shaped tubs we've given everyone have 2 drains, a main drain here and an overflow drain here. So, this must be used to drill 2 holes through the hotel's concrete floor.
It is called a coring bit.
The bit goes in an industrial-sized drill.
You drop it in, and you might need to rotate it slightly, but that's it. And it's locked into place. Remove the carpet and the underpad.
Then drill.
So it's 2 hands on the drill at all times.
The drainage pipes that go through those holes
This is an ABS 90.
are made of a thermoplastic resin called ABS. ABS can be cut like wood, and it fits together like children's building blocks.
Clean your fittings thoroughly with sandpaper.
When the plastic is roughed up, smear on ABS cement.
Apply a liberal amount to your fitting, and the same to the pipe. Bring the 2 together.
To pass code, the cemented pipes must be tilting downhill on at least a 2-degree slope.
When the bubble is sitting on the outside line, that represents 2 degrees.
Which of the tub's drains runs into which of these upright pipes is irrelevant.
But what's critical is the trap
Is beyond both.
is beyond both, or downstream.
Downstream of that, a soft connection will attach the new ABS pipes to the hotel's existing copper pipes.
That's your task today.
When everyone gets their carpet removed, the tubs are shifted back into place so the bare concrete can be marked for the drain holes.
Right there.
But that's not Ajay's method.
Okay, bring me that powder.
Ajay is using colored chalk to mark the carpet where his drain should go.
Don't we take the all carpet out? Or
Don't you worry.
Ajay's carpet needs to come out.
No way. No way. I'm gonna leave the carpet there.
In Charlene's room, the drilling has begun.
The floor in this hotel is about 6 inches of concrete. That's why we had to rent this super huge, powerful tool.
Unfortunately, we could only rent 2 of these drills. And Ajay wants the one Dan has.
No, no, no! Cut your carpet first!
No, I don't need to cut.
Yes! Closed for service!
My carpet is done.
That's just not true.
You don't even have your carpet taken up.
Don't need it.
Last episode, Charlene used a mini jackhammer in our group challenge. Now, Ajay has retrieved that jackhammer.
Okay, that's enough.
And he's preparing to pound his way through the floor with it. But it's not working.
You are destroying everything.
Ajay is creating a shallow dent instead of slicing a cylindrical hole.
So you're not drilling, you are jackhammering.
No, I wanted to turn it.
A drill turns itself.
Ajay should wait for an available drill, but
I don't want to waste my time.
Ajay keeps on jackhammering his shallow dent.
Pretty odd choice for somebody who doesn't want to waste time.
This method wastes more than time. It's damaging the floor, it's damaging the coring bit, and it's exhausting Ajay. Even when used correctly.
Whoa!
Coring bits this large are hard to handle.
My thumbs are killing me.
When we come back, the Drain Plumbing Challenge comes to an end.
Hey!
Yeah!
The nominees for Canada's worst handyman are drilling 3-inch wide holes in their concrete floors.
Hey!
These holes are for the heart-shaped bathtubs the bad builders will be putting in their honeymoon suites.
Whoa!
Specifically, these holes will allow wastewater to flow from their tubs
Look at that.
down into the basement.
Once the water flows into the basement, now they got their own plumbing to do. And that plumbing has to tie into the original copper pipes down here.
To connect with the copper pipes,
56? Okay.
the copper must be cut, which Ajay does before he's got his new drain pipes assembled. Today, the drainage system doesn't have to be attached to the tubs.
Okay.
The new ABS pipes just have to be cut, cemented, assembled, and connected to the hotel's existing drainage system.
We're almost there. So we need to get from here to there.
To here.
Matt assembles his 2 tub drains so they connect on either side of his trap.
This goes down.
That's what your diagram says?
Matt's diagram correctly shows the 2 drains upstream of his trap. It's a simple fix.
There you go.
Matt is rushing to get all his pieces cut and cemented, but
Keep going other side. There isn't any right there. There we go. Oh,
this join may not hold because the smooth plastic did not get roughed up with sandpaper.
And you sanded that?
yes.
Did you?
No.
Matt decides to push ahead. But the connection that wasn't sanded eventually comes unglued. Slopping more cement on top won't create a permanent bond. When Matt's all hooked up,
Matt, you done?
his pipes run downhill to the trap, then uphill to the hotel's drain.
So water does not flow uphill.
But if there's enough of it, wouldn't it just push it up there?
Oh yes, water's famous for pushing itself around up hills.
We test Matt's drain, but the water just gets stuck.
That's the water that was trapped there.
Yeah. But, and even up here as
Exactly.
Dan and Natasha are almost done.
Moment of truth, baby. You wanna do it with me? Let's go. Let's do it. Push it up. Push it up. Oh! That's piping.
Here we go.
Oh!
No.
Oh! Yeah! You did it!
Dan and Natasha are working well together.
You did it!
Oh my God.
As usual, Ajay is hurrying so much.
What is this?
This is
Plumbing putty.
He's actually wasting time. Instead of just assembling his drain pipes in the basement,
Good.
frantic Ajay is connecting drain pipes directly to his tub.
It's going?
Okay.
That's it.
These attached drain pipes will have to be detached again later so the tub's deck and plumbing can be put in place. Ajay isn't following our instructions.
Ow! Ow!
And he isn't learning from his mistakes.
Ow! 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 This is not the right screws.
Rob is keeping his eyes on the prize. And he's finished without hurting himself.
Here comes Andrew!
I like it, sir.
Right.
Nothing came out. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Rob's drain works perfectly.
I think Rob is really on his way to be rehabilitated.
Ajay is still on the wrong track.
I promise you the water will not come out here.
In class, Ajay learned the trap has to be installed no more than 60 centimeters from the vertical drains. But
It's done.
Ajay's trap is far away.
If you got inspected for a code inspector, he would want the trap closer to the drain.
Jeff pours the water, and
Yes, yes. 1, 2, 3 drops start coming.
it's coming faster than that. In Ajay's rush, he missed a step.
I forgot to glue.
As usual,
Again. I was holding it wrong.
the last person working is Charlene. Imagine if we'd given her a textbook.
I'm not a textbook learner. It's obvious. I
visual.
can't retain.
Yeah.
When we come back, the bad handymen install new outlets.
They're all copper.
And
Ow.
they screw up electrically heated towel racks.
What kind of pretentious, superficial uses one of these things?
The next challenge for Canada's worst handyman is to install an electrically heated towel rack in their bathroom. Now, if putting something electrical in a bathroom sounds a little bit dangerous to you, you'd be right. In fact, to plug anything into a bathroom outlet, the outlet must be something called a GFI. That stands for a ground fault interrupter. If you don't have a GFI, well, really bad things could happen.
Today you're going to learn how to install a GFI outlet.
That's Gail Prosser-Craig, our second rehab center expert.
What makes this outlet different from the others in your house is this has a mini breaker inside it.
With the power turned off, Gail removes the original outlet from its box. Then she unscrews the wires.
All right, this guy's out. So we have our GFI. Notice the different colored screws?
GFIs and normal electrical outlets have 3 color-coordinated screws. A dark screw, a light screw, and then a green screw on the bottom. Those screws get matched up with color-coordinated wires. A dark wire, a light wire, and a copper wire that will eventually turn green with age. When the colored screws are pinching the matching colored wires, we're good to go.
Gently push our wires back into the box.
To finish, screw the outlet firmly to the box and protect it with a
Faceplate. Now we can safely turn on our power.
The button on a GFI resets its mini breaker, which turns it on.
Perfect.
The GFIs installed by Canada's worst handymen will power heated towel racks.
Warm hand towels.
The power is off, and the challenge is on.
All right, so here are my, wow. Okay, so these are my wires.
Just thinking about the wires is hard on Charlene.
Oh, no, of course it's gonna be hard because there's 2 wires, so which wire?
The colored wires are easily identifiable. But to Dan, the screws all look the same.
Honey, I need your color vision for a second here.
Dan is colorblind.
That's brass and that's green.
The green screw should pinch the copper wire, but Ajay uses the light-colored screw to pinch the copper wire because
They're all copper. They're all copper. Stop, June.
Yeah?
They're all copper.
Rob color coordinates the wires with the screws and gets his GFI in without any hassle. So does Dan, and Charlene, and Matt.
Good.
But Ajay is still confused.
They're all made of copper.
Look at the plastic around it. It's black.
Okay.
The copper has no plastic. It's not black.
So that is, oh, okay.
When Ajay finally wires his GFI the way Gail demonstrated in class,
She did it in 10 seconds. I can't believe it. She did that in like 5 seconds. Oh my God!
Ajay is finally able to open up his towel rack.
Ow!
It comes with detailed mounting instructions.
That's ridiculous. Don't we just need to put this up?
The instructions say to find a stud, then find the template that's printed on the box.
Okay, a template.
Okay.
The template shows exactly where you should drill pilot holes in the stud. Rob uses the template. Then he screws the towel rack brackets to the pre-drilled stud. Next, the towel rack itself is attached to those brackets with an Allen key.
I think we're gonna be ready for power in about 20 seconds.
When the power comes on, everything works.
Bingo!
Rob succeeded safely.
I did not electrocute myself once today.
Can I drill?
You want to drill?
Natasha should drill, but instead, she tries putting screws in without drilling pilot holes.
Why am I not doing anything?
Oh, she's doing something. It's called
Stripping.
No, that thing's stripped to.
Dan's solution is to move everything over an inch and screw into the softer drywall. To do that, Dan will need wall plugs, so I show him some small ones.
The trick with these is drilling the right size hole.
Right.
The towel rack itself, though, comes with large wall plugs. But Dan has drilled the wrong sized hole. And because he didn't use the template, Dan's holes aren't lining up correctly.
No! No!
Dan's towel rack job is clumsy.
Get in there.
But
She's working. Beautiful.
what's beautiful is that Dan finished without snapping.
I think I just learned to take my time and be patient.
Just like Dan, Charlene is trying to force a fat screw into her stud without the benefit of a pilot hole.
Yeah, it ain't going anywhere.
Without pilot holes, Charlene will never get these screws in.
Again, chewing it up. It's chewing it up. And I got one, yeah, one in. So and I don't even know how the that got in there.
Pass or fail, Charlene?
Fail.
What's holding Charlene back is not following instructions.
It's stupid minor things that's holding me back.
Ajay isn't using the towel rack template. He didn't find a stud. And trying to insert wall plugs is beyond his skill level.
Ow! Make it bigger hole.
When reaming out his holes doesn't work, Ajay thinks cutting the plugs will work.
It will work. And I will make it work. Here we go.
Ajay's rack makes it onto the wall,
Okay, now, hold on. This, ow.
but his poor drill bit doesn't make it through the project.
I can't believe it. This is bad, man.
This is beyond bad.
Same.
This day is no good. Next step.
Ajay doesn't like this challenge.
I don't need a warm towels, that's for sure.
What kind of pretentious, superficial uses one of these things?
Matt got his GFI hooked up in 5 minutes, but the towel rack has already taken him 16 times longer than that.
So you've been struggling with 4 screws for an hour and 20?
Yep.
This job really was easy.
All right now. Freezing. Look at that. They got theirs up nice and good. My God, so did they.
When we come back, Canada's worst handymen install hanging chairs.
You have to have confidence in your handyman skills if you're going to be hanging a chair from the ceiling. But having a chair that swings is a must-have in any honeymoon suite. So, the next challenge for Canada's worst handyman is to create a brand new space to hang out in.
These chairs are pretty simple to install. First, make 2 holes in a solid part of the ceiling. Then, insert a drop-in anchor into that hole. Make sure the anchor fits snugly and ends up flush with the ceiling. Then, spin an eye hook into the anchor and turn it until it's stuck. And believe me, it will get stuck.
The drop-in anchor works on the principle of compression. The more we tighten our eye hook, the more the fitting expands.
It's subtle, but notice the anchor opening like a flower. That's what gets it stuck. Rob has his eye hook stuck, but he's still applying pressure.
Oh, you okay?
Blood.
We got blood.
We gave everyone drill bits that are the exact same width as their drop-in anchors. But Matt's unsteady hand is creating a hole that's slightly larger than his drill bit. The extra space is allowing Matt's anchor to spin instead of getting stuck.
It's supposed to expand.
Corey demonstrates Matt's problem.
That's what you're doing right now.
Charlene is having the same problem, and Dan's anchor is also spinning. So, Dan is trying to stabilize his anchor with vice grips.
Damn it!
But it's not working.
Can you tell me what the issue is?
The issue is I can't get it to actually hold it
You mean
and
like-
squeeze it together.
Like, you can't get it to clamp it?
Yeah, see, I can clamp it. It'll just spin. I need to actually hold it.
Come on!
What Dan needs is a smaller hole. And he can make his existing hole smaller by sticking a piece of copper wire into it.
Snip off a piece of copper, pull this down, like just pull it out, force it back up with that extra piece of copper, and the copper should smush, bite in one of those slots and not allow it to turn anymore. So try doing that, like inserting a piece of copper.
I'll give that a shot.
We'll see if that works.
Yeah.
Inserting a piece of copper is about to work for Charlene. The copper wire makes everything tight. And her second hole is tight without the wire.
They're both good.
Charlene and Charmaine really stepped up in this challenge.
It'll be a miracle because I'm done properly.
It is done properly.
We're done.
Is this your first true success?
Yes.
Charlene loves her new chair.
Do you love it? Oh my God, I can't spin. Oh my God, it's gonna make me puke.
Matt
All right.
also needs to do the copper wire trick.
And now that copper wire managed to let it bite.
Oh,
right?
it's snug.
When Matt's eye hooks are twisted into place, his anchors are even more snug.
All right.
So there you go.
There we are.
Even before his chair is hung, Matt knows he's succeeded.
That's awesome.
Ajay's first eye hook holds,
Ow.
Bonk.
but eye hook number 2 is loose.
Yeah, I'm just sending the copper wire inside.
When the wire trick works, the rope work is done,
Is it not hard?
And Ajay's chair looks good.
Pass, 100%.
Oh, just a minute.
Mind-blowing, fantastic.
Ajay wasn't as fast as usual, but he's done.
It was not that hard. It was easy job. It should have been done in like 1 hour.
Rob is drilling his third hole, and it's slightly too big.
Okay.
Now what?
Copper wire.
Once again, the wire trick works. But Rob has a scary way of testing it. Rob's chair is fine, but he's not.
It's not that bad, but it's still blood.
Dan is finally testing his first hook.
Keep your feet under you, man. Keep your feet under you. That's the whole point of this test, is to not break your tailbone.
But Dan gets overzealous and snaps his next eye hook off.
Right. Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
It was set. Damn it.
Half an hour ago, I told Dan to insert copper wire into his large hole.
Not doing this again.
I also told him to keep his feet under himself while testing.
Oh.
Dan didn't follow my advice.
Did you try the copper wire trick?
No.
That's been successful for everyone.
Oh, you're kidding me.
When we come back, the Canada's Worst Handyman nominees work together and make a self-watering living wall.
Why is it taking so long?
Because I'm reading the instructions, Ajay.
A spa needs a tropical feel. And what could feel more tropical than a living wall? A self-watering little ecosystem creating oxygen and humidity. Installing a living wall in their spa is the next challenge for Canada's Worst Handyman. But they had better be careful, because this project involves the deadly combination of electricity and water.
Because he was named Most Improved last episode, Ajay is the leader of today's group challenge. We bought our living wall kit from a professional company who said they could have it up and running in 2 hours.
For the company to come, they charge $25 per square foot. So to mount this entire unit, they would charge $500, okay?
To learn how to install it yourself,
there's a how-to video.
Framed in section of this wall here for our living wall.
To install the living wall, we're giving Ajay 5 hours.
Mr. Foreman, I leave it all up to you.
Ajay puts Rob and Dan on the task of plumbing.
You have 1 hour to bring the water up.
1 hour to bring the water up.
That leaves Matt and Charlene to mount the pots.
So one tray hangs here, second tray hangs here.
But first,
We 3 of us, we're gonna watch a video.
We're just putting the mounting strip up on the wall.
What's the mounting strip?
That's what I showed you.
in the basement, Dan is using PEX pipe to run water upstairs to the living wall. But
I don't know how to attach this to the existing water lines.
our expert Jeff knows how.
You gotta put a T in here, and then you'll switch over to PEX.
The copper T needs a short copper pipe attached to it. Attaching copper plumbing parts is a 5-part process. Sand the pieces where they'll join, then apply a substance called flux. Once the pipes are fitted together,
Okay.
heat the joint for approximately 20 seconds, then dab on solder, and the bond should be leak-proof.
Is water coming up?
To attach the easily cut PEX pipe, a barbed fitting will be soldered to the copper pipe. To show them how the barbed fitting stays permanently inside the PEX pipe,
This is a stainless steel crimp ring.
Jeff has Rob crimp a ring over a demonstration piece at the point where it covers the barbs.
Done? That's great.
Upstairs,
There we go, buddy. That's yours. Fix it.
the plants look nice, but the wall is coming along clumsily.
There's a border because it's going to match the...
Ajay, though, is concerned with downstairs.
1 hour, 16 minutes. That's not acceptable now to bring the water up.
Plumbing takes time, and Dan is being patient.
Where are you guys, man?
Ajay is always in a rush, but seeing what Dan has been able to accomplish by working patiently is impressing him.
That's so cool, man.
PEX pipe is cool. It's super easy to handle and just as easy to install.
All right, cool.
Back upstairs, Ajay is now, for some reason, cutting the plastic plant pots in half with a power saw. Because of this, the rows of pots don't fill the space.
Seems like organized mayhem. Organized?
No.
Mayhem?
Confused.
Are you 100% sure that that's how they showed that on the video?
Yes, sir. Look here. This is how it's on the video. That's not how on the video.
It takes 2 hours to get the water hooked up.
Okay, there we go.
Hooking it to the electrical system
We did it wrong.
takes another hour,
Okay, this is referred to as a saddle valve.
and without Jeff's professional help, it would take forever.
This is called a compression nut.
After 4 total hours,
Holy, that's confusing.
Ajay needs professional help again. So he gets Dan to deal with it.
So your question is, how do you connect these wires to
Yes.
these wires?
Yes.
Right? Strip these.
In short,
There we go.
Ajay needs professional help. After 5 hours, the water and the electricity never mix.
My job is not done yet.
When we come back, someone is named this episode's worst handyman. The folks who brought the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman to our rehab center spent this afternoon painting the honeymoon suites. Now, it's time for our experts to inspect the real work done by the bad handymen this episode. Starting in the suite Dan has dubbed the tacky room.
Ooh, all red.
Yeah, it's coming out okay so far.
In the drain pipe challenge in the basement, Dan's work came out better than just okay.
Yeah! You did it!
But in the hanging chair challenge, Dan felt the impact of not following instructions.
We've got some broken anchors.
And in the bathroom,
Oh,
Dan didn't anchor his towel rack.
We're never getting one of these things.
See, if it's not requiring a lot of force to pull it out.
Next, we visit Matt's so-called honeymoon suite for a guy.
Holy brown room.
Matt got the drainage pipes for his tub installed. And Matt got his chair hung without damaging the ceiling.
and that means that you're thinking. And I really like that.
In the bathroom, however,
You got tricked by 4 screws.
Yeah. I hate to admit, it might have just been 3.
things are also bad in Ajay's room.
He missed his mark with his hole, and now he's put his plumbing in an awkward position.
It was awkward watching Ajay trying to jackhammer through his concrete floor with only one hand.
I was concerned for your safety.
We're always concerned for Rob's safety.
I might be the worst for this episode because I did injure myself again. I had safety gloves on.
Those are not safety gloves, those are cotton gloves.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, we visit Charlene.
Charlene, there you are, hiding.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
Charlene's chair was hung perfectly.
I like the height, I like the position, I like the work.
But Charlene's plumbing needs work.
It's not finished, but that's not a big deal for me. The big deal is that what you did accomplish was perfect.
It's time to decide who should hang their head in shame this episode.
Worst. Who do you have today?
Ajay.
Because?
Because though he completes every project, it's not done well.
Most improved in this episode? Me.
I think he's extremely cocky, and I think he needs to be grounded. And I think by naming him the worst, that will do it.
I've got Matt.
Because?
Incomplete projects, and it's a reoccurring theme.
The worst handyman for this episode, I'd say... I'm thinking it might be me.
In the basement, Matt will have drain water pool in his sagging pipes.
Standing water outside of the trap will stink. Can you imagine the bath water sitting in there?
Ajay also made unacceptable mistakes in the basement. Not to mention his unhandy approach to jackhammering.
Today's worst needs to be Ajay.
Ajay needs to be smartened up a little bit, but is he the worst handyman? No, I have Matt as the worst.
I'll break a tie.
While the nominators in the lounge watch on closed-circuit TV, the bad handymen get the good news first.
The most improved person for this episode is... you, Charlene.
Hey! Great.
Charlene's work this episode showed enough improvement to warrant her being named next episode's Group Challenge Foreman.
Congratulations, Charlene. Which brings me to the worst. So who is the worst for this episode? The worst for this episode is... you, Ajay.
Ajay was named the worst this episode because of his hands-free approach to jackhammering, his botching of the GFI and towel rack job, and his leaky drain pipe. And now his screw is going backwards.
Turn the drill forward. There you go. All right, my friend.
As the other bad handymen disperse, Ajay and I head to the basement for one more task.
Homework time, Ajay.
For homework, Ajay has to fix his leak and move his trap, but he's rushing to do that with only one hand on the power saw.
Stop, 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 stop. 2 hands on the tool, right? Say that out loud for me.
2 hands on the tool. 2 hands on the tool. 2 hands on the tool.
And is it better? Yes, it's safe.
2 hands is safe.
Yes.
On the next episode of Canada's Worst Handyman.
Off.
Things heat up as plumbing finally comes to the honeymoon suites.
Hey. Whoa.
Wall-mounted stereo speakers also arrive. And in the end,
Honey, it's the breakfast. No.
they make portable tables suitable
What am I doing?
for bacon and eggs.
Room service.
Look at that.